Chapter 1. The Arrival. The heavy clang of the cell doors echoed through the cold, gray halls of Evergreen Correctional Facility as Alex stepped inside, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. At just 23, he found himself in a world that felt both surreal and unforgiving. Surrounded by high walls and wire fences, he could hear the distant rustle of leaves from the forest that contrasted sharply with the rigid atmosphere of imprisonment. As he sat alone in his cell, the weight of loss and betrayal pressed heavily on his chest. Friends had turned their backs, and the truth seemed like a distant memory. "I didn't do this," he whispered into the audio diary, recording his thoughts in a desperate bid to hold on to hope. In the symphony of prison life, the shuffling of guards' boots and muffled conversations, Alex vowed to rise above the despair. "I will find a way to survive," he pledged quietly. Chapter 2. The Guard. As the sun rises over Evergreen Correctional Facility, Officer Martinez steps into the confines she knows all too well. Her voice carries an unmistakable warmth, guiding us through the maze of steel and concrete. The sound of rustling uniforms and approaching footsteps sets the scene as she reflects on her dual role. While the rules of the prison bind her, her heart aches for the inmates behind bars. "I see them not just as their convictions," she intones softly, recounting moments of connection, sharing a laugh with a young man over a book, offering support during tough times. Her empathy blooms in an otherwise rigid environment, creating unexpected bonds. Yet she grapples with the weight of the system, navigating the fine line between authority and compassion. "Everyone deserves a second chance," she asserts, her words echoing through the steel corridors, leaving a lingering sense that hope can thrive even in confinement. Chapter 3. The Lifers. In this chapter, we meet Mac, a lifer with a past intertwined with passion and regret. As he sits on his cot, the weight of silence envelops him, punctuated only by the distant echoes of conversations from nearby cells. "You think you know love until it leads you to a place like this," he begins, his voice heavy with remorse. Mac recounts the moment his life changed forever, a moment of rage that stole his freedom and a loved one. With a tremor in his voice, he speaks of his responsibility to the younger inmates, trying to guide them away from the mistakes he made. "Redemption doesn't come easy," he says softly, reflecting on his desire to share hard-earned wisdom. The ambient sounds of quiet cell conversations weave through his narration, amplifying his struggle to find meaning and hope amidst the turmoil. Mac's journey symbolizes the fragile dance between darkness and the faint glimmers of hope. The soft swish of brushes against canvas, punctuated by the gentle tapping of palette knives and the distant murmurs of inmates. Sophia, a talented painter serving time for drug offenses, uses her art to navigate the emotional turmoil of prison life. In her audio diary, she shares how each brushstroke helps her reclaim a sense of identity amidst the labels that society has thrust upon her. "Art is my escape," she confides, her voice a mix of awe and vulnerability. "With every piece I create, I see a bit of the world outside these walls. I remember who I am beyond my mistakes." As she describes her palette, vibrant reds, tranquil blues, and earthy greens, listeners can almost visualize the blossoming colors of hope. Sophia's reflections delve into the complexities of her past, yet amidst her pain, she finds solace in creation, illustrating that beauty can flourish even in confinement. Chapter 5. The Family Bonds. We meet Jamal, a father who grapples with overwhelming guilt as he serves time for a crime that has distanced him from his children. The muffled sound of a telephone ringing cuts through the prison's stillness, signaling the connection to his family, a lifeline that brings both comfort and pain. On the other end, we hear the bright voices of his children, moments filled with laughter intertwined with sobs and longing. Jamal's entries reflect the heart-wrenching discussions where he tries to reassure them, promising to change and be the father they deserve. The soundscape captures the clash of joy and sorrow, the innocence of childhood against the backdrop of incarceration. Through his poignant reflections, Jamal reveals his fears of losing them forever, yet within these moments a flicker of hope emerges. He dreams of reconciliation, envisioning a future where love triumphs over separation and healing can begin.
Chapter 6. The Changemaker.
Alina sits in the dimly lit circle of the therapy room, her voice steady and encouraging as she leads a group of fellow inmates. The sounds of shared laughter and quiet whispers blend with the rustling of notebooks. A former drug dealer, Alina turned her turbulent past into a catalyst for change, establishing a rehabilitation program that fosters healing and growth. She shares her own story of trauma, inviting others to open up about their struggles. "We're here because we want to be better," she says, her conviction palpable. Stories flow like the rhythmic pulse of their surroundings, echoes of hope mingling with the grief of loss. Elena reflects on the powerful transformations taking place, the way vulnerability births strength within the group. In the confines of their shared confinement, they discover that redemption isn't just a personal journey, it's a collective endeavor, igniting sparks of possibility even in the darkest places. Chapter 7. The New Perspective. Inmate Kai, a young man barely in his 20s, reflects on his troubled past as he records in his audio diary. Surrounded by older inmates in the prison yard, he finds himself drawn into their conversations about life, dreams, and the weight of their choices. As laughter mingles with the echoes of footsteps and the rustle of nearby trees, Kai feels a shift within himself. He's never known this kind of camaraderie, a sense of belonging that ignites a flicker of hope. He captures the moment, describing how these older men, once seen as mere criminals, are now his mentors, guiding him through their stories of mistakes and redemption. The soundscape shifts to whispers of encouragement, layering in the ambient sounds of nature, a reminder that there's life beyond the prison walls. Kai closes his entry with newfound resolve, recognizing that change is possible if one dares to dream amidst the darkness. Chapter 8. The Healer. As we step into Dr. Shin's office, the atmosphere is filled with the low murmur of conversation, punctuated by the subtle clicking of a clock on the wall. Dr. Shin, the prison psychologist, shares her perspective on the challenges faced by the inmates she works with. She reflects on the emotional scars and traumas that accompany their stories, revealing that many are seeking not just relief from their past, but a deeper understanding of themselves. In therapy sessions, we hear the reverberations of whispered confessions and shared laughter that signify breakthroughs, each voice hinting at a past laced with pain and the hope for healing. Dr. Shin emphasizes the importance of being seen and heard, her empathetic approach creating a safe space for vulnerability. Through her eyes, we sense the potential for transformation, as she believes that nurturing the human spirit can ignite a profound change, even within these stark walls. Chapter 9. The Forgotten. Laura's voice trembles as she records her thoughts, a bittersweet harmony of strength and vulnerability. Sheltered within the prison library, surrounded by countless volumes of knowledge, she reflects on the irony of her situation, serving time for a minor offense, while those who commit greater crimes often evade justice. The sound of pages turning and whispered conversations fill the background, creating an atmosphere thick with shared stories and unspoken truths. "I never thought I would end up here," Laura admits, her voice laced with regret. "Every day, I fight against the label of criminal, but I am more than my mistakes." Her journey towards self-awareness unfolds as she explores her identity, challenging the stigma that society places on her. In this sanctuary of books, Laura recognizes that knowledge is power, an empowerment she aims to harness upon her release. With hope kindling within, she dreams of a future where she is remembered not as forgotten, but as reborn. Chapter 10. The Craftsman. In the heart of Evergreen Correctional Facility, we meet Omar, an inmate with a talent for woodworking. His hands, worn yet skilled, transform raw pieces of lumber into intricate sculptures and furniture. The sound of saws humming and chisels tapping fills the workshop, blending with the murmurs of fellow inmates admiring his creations. As Omar works, he reflects on how each cut and polish represents a piece of himself, shaped by past mistakes but longing for a brighter future. "Building something with my hands," he narrates, "is like piecing my life back together." He sees hope in the grains of wood, understanding that each flaw can be transformed into something beautiful. Through mentorship, he shares his craft with younger inmates, teaching them that skill development is not just about making things, it's about creating pathways to redemption. In the quiet of the workshop, Omar's journey symbolizes resilience, reminding everyone that beauty can emerge from brokenness. As we enter the world of Greg, a former teacher imprisoned for embezzlement, the sound of pages turning and the hum of a classroom environment envelop us. Greg believes that education is a lifeline, a way to reshape futures. He passionately leads a literacy program for younger inmates, seeing their potential where others might only see their past mistakes. His voice carries warmth as he recounts moments of breakthrough, when a struggling inmate finally reads aloud, or when a reluctant student finds joy in learning. Knowledge is a key, Greg reflects, and I'm just here to help them unlock their doors. In this unique setting, amidst the cold concrete, we feel the warmth of hope as Greg fosters a love for learning, instilling the belief that the past doesn't have to define their future. The sound of laughter and engaged discourse blends with the rustle of papers, celebrating the transformative power of mentorship. Chapter 12, The Survivor. Soft whispers blend with the rustling of feet on the linoleum floor, creating an intimate atmosphere as Maria begins to share her story. I once believed that silence was my safest refuge, a shield against the chaos outside these walls. Maria's voice trembles, filled with emotion. I am here for defending myself against someone I loved, someone who stole my spirit piece by piece. She reflects on the trauma she endured, the years of isolation, and the shame that silenced her for too long. But here, I found my voice. It's not just about surviving, it's about reclaiming who I am. In group therapy, we share, we listen, and we heal. Each time I speak, I feel the weight lifting. Maria pauses, a sense of strength radiating through her words. I strive to break the cycle of violence. I am not just a number in this system. I am a survivor, ready to embrace life. The ambient sounds fade gently, leaving behind a sense of empowerment. Chapter 13, The Second Chance. As the sun rises over Evergreen Correctional Facility, the sound of tools clinking and machines humming fills the air, creating an atmosphere of hope and ambition. Inmates gather in the Vocational Training Center, where programs offer possibilities beyond the prison walls. Each inmate shares their dreams. Jacob, who once wanted to be a chef, now envisions a future running a food truck. Tara, once a hairstylist, hopes to open her own salon. Omar, a skilled woodworker, reflects on how learning these trades has rekindled his sense of purpose. This isn't just about skills, he says, his voice steady. It's about building a life after all this. Laughter and camaraderie resonate throughout the workshop, punctuated by the rhythmic sounds of saws and drills. Together, they embrace the transformative power of education and determination, realizing that even in confinement, they can carve out paths to brighter futures, one hopeful step at a time.